Dogbert presents How to Beat This Dumbass Team. And now, let's join Dogbert. Good evening, and welcome back to How to Beat This Dumbass Team. Tonight, we're going to do something a little bit different and discuss the top arena characters and even maybe one you haven't thought of who's used on defense. And I'll explain why he's used on defense as well. But for now, let's head over into the game and talk about the top arena characters, both for what I consider the two different arena metas that are out there, the post-apocalypse arena meta and the pre-apocalypse arena meta for newer players. Alright, to kick off the discussion, let's just talk about Super Scroll. Why haven't I made anything about how to beat him? Well, simply he doesn't exist in my arena. I have ideas on how to beat him without him, but until somebody gets him in my arena and I can test him out, I don't want to put anything out there. If you do get a Super Scroll, obviously he's very good. You definitely want to be using him in the arena. I think this is a no-brainer. So let's move on to the next character who's also a no-brainer. And that would be this guy, Apocalypse, especially a big boy Apocalypse at Gear 18. Can a baby Apocalypse take down a big boy Apocalypse? In certain situations, yes. You need big secret defenders to do it. The big boy Apocalypse is preferably not Gear 18. And preferably, you don't have just the five, the 5 yellow and 2 red. Maybe you're up to the 6. In that case, you can eat a big boy Apocalypse if you meet all those situations. But for the most part, once you start talking Gear 18, big boy Apocalypses, it becomes a whole different game. He just becomes way more powerful with that Gear 18. So keep that in mind when you're taking on opponents. You're going to have to really have big secret defenders to really chew through him, to really take his ult if you can get your Ms. Marvel Hardlight to survive or not. That all makes a big difference if you're going against the Apocalypse. And of course, pre-Apocalypse, the arena meta looks a little bit different. So let's go over some of the characters you'll see pre-Apocalypse in the arena. I really had to dig down in my roster to find this guy, but pre-Apocalypse, Doctor Strange with the rest of the Secret Defenders is actually quite good in the arena. I know this because of a Whalebird account. When it's all 5 of them together, pre-Apocalypse, this is quite a difficult team to take down. Ms. Marvel more or less makes it impossible for you to get to him and kill him off quickly. And then he can do some nasty things to you, especially if you can't get to him quick enough after you kill the Ms. Marvel, and he resurrects her. You're going to have a very bad day. So there is actually a place for Doctor Strange to be built up to use in the arena. It's pre-Apocalypse. But he's not the best character. There's a couple other characters that you'll see pre-Apocalypse as well that do as good or better of a job, both on offense and defense. So one of those characters pre-Apocalypse, believe it or not, is Kestrel. What you do is you team her up with the other 4 secret defenders because they can put some defense downs out there, and she starts pinging. So if you have a big Kestrel, she can do a lot of damage pre-Apocalypse and wipe out teams. Could be used on offense or defense. Especially on defense, might catch somebody off guard, not realizing just how much damage she can put out. This is actually a really good option for new players who have just bought the Time Heist bundles, have a bigger Kestrel. Maybe they're still building up the Secret Defenders because they don't have many stars. They are whales, of course, buying all this. But that's something to keep in mind. Now let's look at another character you might see. And that next character, who is probably a top candidate for offense, and believe it or not, in the pre-Apocalypse meta, can be used on defense, and that's Kang. Again, you need a bigger Kang to pull this stun off, but of course on offense he really helps, giving you that little bit boost of a speed bar. If you can keep him alive, he can do quite wonders against the Secret Defenders, putting out all that damage. Now, on defense, the reason why you would put him on defense, believe it or not, with the Secret Defenders, is because they go and give themselves speed up. When that happens, he speeds up, and he can do a ton of damage then, because then he's getting an extra turn, which gets him to that ultimate, which could take out the rest of the Secret Defenders when you're talking a Secret Defenders versus Secret Defenders matchup, allowing you to take out that Strange, maybe a smaller Photon, a smaller Robbie, or even help you get past that Ms. Marvel Heartlight. She is so important to have big, it's not funny. So now that we've covered that, let's talk about the post-apocalypse meta. We'll just go talk about the different Secret Defenders. And let's start off the discussion by talking about Ms. Marvel Heartlight. If there's ever a character you need to get big as possible, as quick as possible, it's her. The bigger she is, the more annoying she is. Of course, you don't need as many T4s as I have into her. You only need a T4 on her ultimate and her passive. But other than that, you're good. The reason being, she really only takes one turn usually. If she's getting a second turn, something's gone majorly wrong. Anyway, the reason why you need her so big is she's going to stand there and just taunt and be stunned and take a whole lot of damage. And if Apocalypse becomes empowered, she does get a taunt back. She does get the barrier on her. She'll either take that hit and die, or she'll take the hit and survive, which is really bad for your opponent then if that happens. Even at low levels of big Ms. Marvel, if you can't get through her, you're done. You need to get through her quick. You need damage. And that's where the rest of the Secret Defenders come in. As we look at our next, who I think is probably the best Secret Defender, and it's not Black Cat. Yep, this is the one I think is probably the best Secret Defender of them all as far as a plug and play. And that's Ghost Rider Robbie. This guy is just absolutely insane with those bleeds. I wish I could run him as Striker in the arena, but the lack of vulnerables and using other Strikers makes it so that you really need him as a Raider. Now, when you're talking about the post-apocalypse arena meta, it gets a little bit different with Ghost Rider Robbie and what you're going to want to set on defense to go against him as far as your apocalypse positioning. Smaller Ghost Rider Robbies, like 5 stars and below, you want to kind of keep Apocalypse away from Ms. Marvel Heartlight on your defense. Now, if most of your arenas running bigger ones like this one, a 6-6, where you get into these bigger Secret Defender teams, when you have a defense then, you want to put your big boy Apocalypse next to Ms. Marvel, believe it or not. The reason being, at that level, at these higher levels of stars, the Ghost Rider Robbies will put out so much damage, and along with Black Cat, they'll actually push your Apocalypse under that 50% mark to set him off. This only really works with these bigger Secret Defender teams, like these higher star teams, believe it or not. It's really a weird niche situation I've ran into. It can be quite annoying when that happens. You really have to watch your offense when you're doing this, when you go against those defenses. Positioning matters. Now let's go take a look at the Legendary. Now, just because I think Ghost Rider Robbie is the best Secret Defender doesn't mean I don't think Black Cat's not good. She is incredibly good. Especially as you get more stars on her, she becomes very nasty to deal with. The fact that she can get a trauma or put a trauma on when she has trauma, or get a safeguard when you have safeguard, she can really hit hard. She can take away that turn meter with her basic. All around great striker. She is a very hard character to kill with all those death proofs, but we're still waiting on her awakened abilities, or whatever they want to call them, enhanced abilities. That's going to be very interesting once we take away death proof on spawn, because that's going to change the fight dramatically once that comes out with Black Cat. But until then, you definitely want to be using her. Whether you put her next to Ms. Marvel Heartlight or away, don't forget the defense. Ms. Marvel Heartlight will always go after her because of the way she's programmed, because of how fast Black Cat is. Black Cat by herself can take out a couple people by herself if she gets those stuns off, and gets the right combination of her bleeds, and also landing her bleeds sometimes will actually speed up your Ghost Rider Robbie to give you the win on the Ghost Rider Robbie goes first thing. But overall, a very good character. Now let's talk about some of the characters in the hybrids you're going to see. and when you want to use them, and the last secret defender as well. So we covered the core 3 secret defenders: Ghost Rider Robbie, Ms. Marvel Hardlight, and Black Cat, who you'll see. The fourth one you kind of see at the high end is Photon. No, so when do you use Photon? Well, you actually use her more on defense. The 4 secret defenders and Apocalypse actually gives a lot of trouble to the big-time Spider-Man offense because of what Photon does, speeding them up and giving them so much extra damage, and big-time Spider-Man essentially being a throwaway character who's really that gimmick thing I told you about. That's why I'm not very big on it. And believe it or not, I'm going to show you a character who absolutely 100% screws over big-time Spider-Man when you put him on defense. Look at that in a minute, though. So, just remember, if you want to stop a big-time Spider-Man when it gives him some trouble, put Photon on defense. You can use her on offense as well, but there's a character I prefer to use on offense over her. And here's the character I prefer to use on offense over Photon. Now, if you put this character on defense, believe it or not, he actually makes it easier for a big-time Spider-Man to beat that one. So it's kind of like this rock, paper, scissors things where Big Time is good against Quicksilver, but he's bad against Photon, but Photon's bad against Quicksilver. So if you see a Photon on defense, put Quicksilver in, and you'll probably win. Now for Quicksilver to work correctly in the arena, obviously you need to build him as big as you possibly can. If I could put Gear 18 on him, I absolutely would. Now my original videos, I actually only have him at 3 red, and he did work just fine. But at 4 red, he gets a lot better. And there's really no defense that gives him too many problems. He works great against the Photon defense. You can kind of coin flip it with a Quicksilver versus Quicksilver battle. That's kind of annoying when you're doing that. Then it can be kind of messy. But overall, he's a great character. You can put him on defense. But I've taken him off defense, because so many people can use big-time Spider-Man, and that kind of negates the Quicksilver defense. And because people are kind of, well, lazy and stupid, they just want to use big-time, big-time, big-time. Well, I have a defense that beats that. That totally shuts down big-time Spider-Man. But let's take a look at big-time Spider-Man and why people are using him first. So here is my big-time Spider-Man. I do use him occasionally on offense. If I'm going against a certain Quicksilver defense, obviously he does make it quick work of them. And the whole reason why people use him is this ultimate, in that he's putting a disrupt for 2 turns onto a character, and he goes very quickly at the beginning of the match. He has 1000% extra focus. And essentially it's because on spawn he gets speed up. He's a tech character, so nobody is stopping him, and he will go first on offense. That is why people are using smaller ones, just to get the disrupt on Ms. Marvel Hardlight. Although that disrupt doesn't always stick, because, you know, she can get cleansed or take a turn, and then she no longer has that disrupt, and that can screw up your plans as well. So don't go thinking big-time Spider-Man is the ultimate. And like I said before, against the Photon defense, he really struggles, because essentially you're taking a very, well, for lack of a better word, weaker character, almost a throwaway character in some cases, and essentially saying, I'm going to try to beat you with only 4 characters. And, well, there's a defense that 100% shuts him down. It's the defense I'm using. Let's take a look at that. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is my current arena defense. This keeps me pretty much in the top 5 at all times. If I'm on it towards the payout time, I can go and take number 1. This defense shuts down big-time Spider-Man. And it's all because of the pre-taunt tank, in my case, Absorbing Turd. Although any pre-taunt tank would work, whether it's Drax, Red Guardian, or Bishop, my Absorbing Turd just happens to be the biggest of all the pre-taunt tanks. And that's why I'm using him on defense. So why does this screw up Big Time Spider-Man? Remember, Big Time Spider-Man goes first. We have a pre-taunt tank now. He can't apply the disrupt to Ms. Marvel Hardlight. This forces the opponent now to have to deal with the Ms. Marvel Hardlight taunt, which just totally screws up that team. Can it still win? Probably, if you have enough power to get through Miss Marvel Hardlight and you don't set off Apocalypse back there. Reason why he's sitting back there by Miss Marvel Hardlight. I'm going against... I have bigger teams I'm going against with higher stars. They're going to set off Apocalypse and just really make it a difficult time for them. So if you're looking for a defense that can really screw some people over because of the big-time Spider-Man hype, set a pre-taunt tank and absolutely screw them over. So, I hope this gives you some ideas on who the top arena characters are, when to use them, how to use them. Because like I said, there's a few different defenses. You got the Photon, you got the Quicksilver, and now you know about the pre-taunt tank defense as well. Until next time, everybody.